Hello, everyone, and welcome to Monday night's segment of Horsefly Chronicles Radio with myself, Julia Syracusa, and Phil Syracusa. We are broadcasting live from the United Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 FM from New Orleans. This evening's show is fully sponsored by Carnation, so we want to thank them for their sponsorship. We love them. You will have to do a few things in order to participate. Go into chat, go into the International Public Radio on YouTube, get into chat, subscribe if you haven't. I can only respond to your comments on that YouTube channel. You can also go into all of the Facebook stations, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, UFO Undercover with Joe Montaldo, News on the Flip Side, also Twitch, SoundCloud, and Podbeam. Also go over to our group on Facebook, Horsefly Chronicles Radio. And also, if you have any questions for our guests, please ask. So tonight, guys, we have two really special guests. Please welcome Eric Paquette, Sr. and Charles McLaren to the show. They're both paranormal investigators. They have both had paranormal experience since a young age, which led them both into the field of the paranormal. They are both the founders of Paranormal Conspiracy and of the production company Nightmare Productions. And they are both investigators for the show True Ghost Stories on Facet TV. So please let's welcome Eric and Charles to the show.
Welcome.
Yay. Hi, guys. Can you hear us?
Hi.
Hi.
How
you doing, guys?
Hi.
Good. You froze for a second. You must have some paranormal activity going on in that house. So welcome to Horsefly Chronicles Radio. I personally know both of you. You were great guys, great investigators, and we like what you do in the field. So, Charles, you, then Eric, tell us how you got started into the field of paranormal. Like, what was your first experience as a child? Let's go back on the clock.
Well, it wasn't a child that I had experiences. It was when I was more of an adult. That's when I had experiences. I was like 27, 28 when it happened. I came into contact with my father. My father had already been dead a couple of years. And that's how I became into the paranormal field. I actually had a conversation with my father for like 20 minutes, and then he just disappeared after that. He told me a few things, and that was pretty much it. And then I just said, all right, well, now I want to know more about this, because I was a skeptic. I never believed in the afterlife. I never believed in any of that stuff. I never was, oh yeah, ghosts were a big deal. I'd seen it on TV. Well, that's just about it, So I got a couple of my friends together, and we used to just do it for fun. We go to cemeteries. Then we started getting a little more wilder and started going into like abandoned mills and stuff like that to do investigating. And then before you know it, I put myself a team together. I've been to a lot of locations. I've done a lot of stuff. And me and Charles have been friends for 30 years. He ended up moving away for a while, and then I didn't know he moved back up because we lost contact with each other. We didn't have phone numbers and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So he ended up meeting me at Walmart one night. I bumped into him shopping, and he saw me pull up in my paranormal vehicle. It was all lettered up with New Hampshire Paranormal Afterlife. And he goes, "You do the paranormal?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got my own team and all that." And I said, "Well, if you're interested, here's my address to get my house." And Lord behold, he comes to my house, and I introduce him to my wife and the team. And we've been working together since 2014. And it's amazing what we do. We've come a long way. And I just wanted to seek things out in the paranormal field. There's a lot of paranormal teams out there. There's a lot that have made it too. There's a lot that are on TV. They basically do the same thing we do. We're not looking for fortune and fame. We're just looking to get out there and find what we can find in the paranormal. We're not about the money. We're not about the limelight. We're not about being famous. All we want to do is go out in the world and prove that the paranormal does exist, ghosts, spirits, and all those funky little things that some people don't understand. We want to try and make them understand.
And Charles, how did you get started?
Me, it's a little different. I lost my mother when I was 11 years old, and they kind of wanted me to, get to be into the paranormal after she had passed. Some things were going on in the house as a child I couldn't explain. And it kind of fueled, me wanting to do it. But unfortunately, as I got older, I didn't even know where to start or how to start. I had a father also tell me, paranormal's hogwash, ghosts don't exist. Yet, he would see stuff in the house that we couldn't explain, and he would just pass it off. And then Eric's right. I mean, I met him in a parking lot, and pretty much the rest is history. And then, I used to live in a funeral home for about 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, what a wild ride that house was. From night one, we had activity. Stuff in that house I couldn't explain. Full body apparitions, you name it, it happened in that house. That house came alive. And Eric's right. And at the end of the day, we both make a great team. We just want to show the world what we can do. And the rest is history.
Yeah, and you still, like I said earlier, you do a great job, both of you.
Thank you.
I'm intrigued by this funeral home you live in. I mean, that's a mind blower for me. First of all, I take my hat off because it's guts. Because I don't know if I can live in a funeral home. You live in a funeral home? I couldn't do it. I could not do it. It's just, look, we live in a haunted house, but it's that creep factor of, I don't know, but
But you were young. You were a kid, so I guess.
So how old were you when you lived in a funeral home?
Oh no, I was. We're talking 5 years ago. I lived in a funeral home.
Oh.
Huh, 5 years
I was
ago.
gonna say you were a
But
kid.
Yeah, no. As I started the paranormal, we had rent to own a house. And one day I went down to the basement and I seen the spots where the crematorium and the stuff was, and I started questioning it. And
Wow.
at that point, I mean, from day one, the minute we moved in that house, activity. I had people that were on our team that stayed with me on the third floor. They fled because she came downstairs and said, "Here's this guy, 6-7 feet tall." We called him the tall man. Abe Lincoln hat, all black clothing. I thought she was nuts at first, to be honest with you, because full body apparitions. I'm like, yeah, okay. The next night I stayed up just to see if I could catch a glimpse of this man. I go get a soda out of the fridge, come around, and there he is standing like 50 feet from me, like pantry to kitchen. And it's like I'm looking at, you guys, and I said, "Who are you? Why are you in my house? And you need to leave." And as I started walking forward, he just shushed me and just vanished into my son's room. And, I can't even start to explain to you the activity we had. We did an investigation, and this thing was so intelligent, it shut my brother's camera off on cue, turned it on cue. And then my brother said he seen him in the back door. It probably didn't help neither that I had haunted objects in my house. That I can tell you for a fact, stuff a spirit box shouldn't say it has said in my house. Stuff would move in my house. TVs would come on and off. You'd hear little children giggling. You'd walk up the stairs. You'd hear your clothes. You'd see your clothes being tugged. My daughter was walking up the stairs one time, and you could hear "Mama, Mama, Mama." It was very. The house came by.
Breaking up.
Wow, 5 years.
That's crazy.
That's a long time. Can you do that?
No.
And
I don't
I
think I
said,
can.
I called Eric and I said, you guys got to come over. Now, the thing is a lot of people wanted to come and investigate it. I didn't want them to. The only people that came in was Eric.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that night, he, I don't know if he ever had doubts as to anything I had ever told him because I've never asked him. But I think the way my house acted that night, I think, it probably shocked him.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's pretty much how I got started. I was always intrigued with it. Stuff had happened, and then as stuff was going on in my house, I would just bring out my equipment late at night and just start doing mini investigations myself. But
So, Eric,
it's so crazy how we have
Yeah.
these experiences and how it kind of like just drives us into
well, you're
the
interested.
research.
You're
and
intrigued and you want more information,
Yeah.
right? Eric, do you think that these spirits in the funeral home were those that, were, what should I say?
thought like we're
Yeah,
you mean thought not died there, but
yeah.
the spirits that are just lingering there, maybe.
The only thing I can think of is they probably didn't know how to pass on, or they had some unfinished business and they ended up just getting stuck in this type of portal in this house. I mean, you got to remember, this thing was built in the 1800s, 1805, I do believe.
Wow.
Yes. So you're talking, it became a funeral home in the mid 1800s. So you're talking all those people they buried or cremated. I mean, down in the basement, you could still see the old foundation where the crematorium was all set up and everything. It was pretty cool. I mean, I've been in this house. I've visited, and just sitting in the living room watching like the football game. We'd be chilling, and all of a sudden you just start hearing random doors closing, banging, walking, shadows. I mean, it's your normal common funeral home. You think you're alone, but you're not.
Yeah.
But it was amazing just to hang out at his house sometimes. My house ain't any better either. So mine's just as old. And my office used to be upstairs in the barn, and you would hear walking in the barn, or every now and then you'd hear like a loud bang, like the horse would be kicking the back of the wall. So, I mean, it's all converted into a 2-stall garage now with an upstairs. Yeah, I mean, there were nights I'd just be up there working on episodes and stuff like that, and you'd think someone was coming up the stairs. You could hear them walk right up the stairs, and you turn around and nobody be there. Or you feel this hard, heavy breathing on the back of your neck.
Yeah, you know what that's like.
So, I know I spoke to you about this, about residual versus active.
Mm-hmm.
And, you said you heard the banging on the wall from the horse, but the horse isn't there. And it's as if two dimensions are like somehow going into each other during an investigation, or it's just like the stairs aren't there, but you hear someone walking up the stairs. But the stairs might have been there in a previous home way back in the day, right?
No, there were no stairs to this loft. The people who owned it before me actually cut the floor and added stairs to it. It used to have the ladder where it had the little trap door on top, and you could climb up the ladder just so that you could catch the bales of hay that were thrown up into the loft at one time. Someone put stairwell in there and everything and made it so that you could use the upstairs of the barn.
Interesting. You still live there now?
Yeah, I still reside here now.
And is it still active?
Yes, it is. There are certain nights that you'd be sitting down, like we do card night every other Saturday, or we'll try to do it every Saturday. Well, I'll be playing cards and you can hear somebody walking above us. But here's the funny thing. The place where we play cards is an add-on that was added on 20 years ago to the house. There's only a roof above us. So how the heck could someone walk above something that's never existed?
Wow.
Yeah, it's just a roof. That's all it is.
That's,
So
that's,
it's
definitely
that's
weird.
fascinating.
It's weird.
Yeah. And Charles, have you ever went to the basement in that funeral home late at night by yourself?
I have. Okay, so the very first night we were there, we had bought subs, brought it back, and we could hear banging. And then all of a sudden we heard like a loud bang. Now, as I walked down to the basement, we got like a rotten smell, like a rotten egg, like somebody just laid a bad part. Pretty much, to be honest with you. And every time that the tall man was around, we'd get random smells. We would get it just wasn't right, and you knew he was around. And you know, the night that we heard the bang, we went down to that basement, and that's when I found, saw the well. That's where, I saw a bunch of stuff, and I questioned whether or not we should even be living here. Did we get in too far? On day one, hours after we were moving in, we had activity. I had people that wouldn't stay in my house because of the activity going on. I left because, I felt it was the right thing to do. Clearly there were times where I didn't feel welcomed in that house. That house came alive. And
could it have been?
do I regret leaving now? Of course. But somebody else lives there as we speak, and they've actually come into the store where Eric and them work. And, I've had conversations with the people that there, and they're like, oh, the house is still active. So, and they know we do the paranormal. They've actually are thinking of letting us in there to investigate it. So I'm really looking forward to that. Everything, and I didn't even have to tell them what was going on. They said the same thing. They couldn't explain a lot of stuff. So, and we lived there almost 5 years.
Amazing.
And honestly, I couldn't even get a medium to walk into that house.
Really?
I had one stand on the street, and she's like, I'm not going in there.
Well, that's
and Eric was right there when it happened. She's like, I'm not going in that house.
She's very credible too.
I was told not to go. So even trying to get someone in there to try to tell me what I had, I couldn't get nobody to go in the house.
Ooh, that's bad.
But everything was interesting and tolerable. It was the tall man that made it. He's the one.
The tall man is the original owner of that house, the guy who might have built that house.
I'm not sure, but the only time we ever saw him was he was walking back in.
Can't handle.
Yeah, because it sounds like they want to protect their property.
Yeah.
They
So
want to protect the land, and they're very wary of other people on their property. We've heard those stories where they like the guardians of their home when they cross over. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about, how did you guys start? Put the team together, Paranormal Conspiracy, and also Nightmare Productions. Let's talk about that.
Well, Paranormal Conspiracy started off like me and Chuck wanted to do like a blog talk type radio type thing. We used to film it, and then we used to break it down, and we used to air it on YouTube. It used to be a Charles and Eric's reality show. So for a while we started doing that, and people were watching us and they wanted to see more, but then they would tell them, why don't you take it on the road? So me and him both sat there one night and filmed it, recorded it, and then I cut it and put it on YouTube. And people started telling us that we should do this. So that's what we did. We then started doing it live on Facebook. We started filming ourselves live on Facebook, And then we changed the name from Charles and Eric's reality talk show to Paranormal Conspiracy. That's where it became from the talk show to Paranormal Conspiracy. So we started going places, and we would talk live during our investigations to everybody, and they were loving it because they could see and interact with what we're feeling when we're on the road investigating a haunted house. So we started doing it that way. And then for some strange reason, our page got shut down by Facebook. They wouldn't let us do it anymore. We don't know why. So they canceled our page. So what we did is we made another Paranormal Conspiracy Facebook page and made it just a group page so everybody around the world could come in there and look at what we're doing. And then we just started going on investigations. And then what would happen, that's where Nightmare Productions came into play. Right now, it's costing a lot of money right now, but what me and Chuck are trying to do is to raise some money so that we can put a web page together so that way we can get paranormal stuff from all over the world and put on this page and even see what we do. And we want to talk live on this page. So I've got a couple friends right now looking into it so that we can start Nightmare Productions so that we can, people can put their stuff on our website so we can show the world. We want to make this big web page. So that's where Nightmare Productions comes into play because I'm the one that produces, directs, and edits our TV show. And, and we're part of True Ghost Stories as well. That's another thing we branched off to is True Ghost Stories. So True Ghost Stories is our network that we send all our stuff when we film on the road. We give it to them. I'll edit it and then I give to them and they put in what needs to be put in so they can put it on the network. But our Nightmare Production page is so whatever episodes we decide to keep and not send to the network, we air that on our Nightmare Productions page on Facebook right now. So you can go to Nightmare Productions on Facebook and you'll see some of the areas we've investigated. I'm still working on shows to upload onto that network. But we've got a lot of likes on it. We've got a lot of people view the episodes. Every now and then we'll get together on Halloween, and what we'll do is we'll put something together and we'll put it on the Nightmare page. Sometimes we'll even go live on the Nightmare Productions page and film where we are. We're planning on doing it this year. Halloween's a little tight for us this year, but we want to go live on Nightmare Productions, me and Chuck in the cemetery doing an investigation so that way people can see what's going on. That's something we're working on as well.
You know, and the thing too is, you know, when we started the Eric and Charles reality talk show, I wasn't even sure it was going to go anywhere. And then it flew off. People liked what they saw. And then Eric called me one day and he's like, I got something. I got an idea. And I said, all right, what is it? And he dropped Paranormal Conspiracy. And I was like, you know what? I like that. Mm-hmm. And anybody that knows me and Eric, I mean, we're good together. We're in sync.
You are.
You know, it's like the yin to the yang. You know, the talk show just, it became amazing because, you know, where he would start, I would finish, or where I would start, he would finish. And it got bigger, you know. Between us, we have 3 teams, you know, our own production company. And, you know, I'm just starting the Charles and Eric Paranormal Podcast through Blog Talk Radio.
I got Horse Media. That's where I put a lot of media where I'll film a lot of stuff, like where we go downtown and stuff like that. We'll even bring it to, we're in with the city as well. Like when they host these big events downtown on Elm Street, we'll go down there, we'll set up our table, we'll set up our equipment, we'll set up the banners and stuff like that. And people can come over and talk to us about the paranormal down in the city. We even did a Halloween parade one year. We went down there, we set up our table. We even did a Christmas parade with the paranormal truck. We walked down, we handed out free candy canes to all the kids and stuff like that. So we're always trying to find something to do as well as, besides being a paranormal team, we're always trying to work with the community where we live. We're always trying to do something to help out somebody. We will stop what we're doing to help people in the paranormal, just so that we can, show that we're just more than a paranormal team.
And just to show you how big our hearts are, we did something very special to me. I would go to a Cumberland Farms here in Manchester, and every day I'd see this gentleman with a colostomy bag. And he told me he had stage 4 cancer, that he was dying, and he had a request. And I said, okay, what can I do for you? How can I help you? And he said, I'd like to go on a ghost hunt for, that's a request. Do you think you could make it happen before I pass on? And do you think you could have the paranormal girls there? And I said, of course, I'll make it happen. I called Eric. Immediately, Eric got a hold of the city. We made it happen. He stayed for the interview, but he had to go home.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, he passed away.
Oh, that's so
2 weeks later.
2 weeks later.
2 weeks later. His picture is on the Paranormal Girls Facebook page with all the girls.
Oh, that's really nice.
And
it's sad, but it's a nice story.
we did that because, again, that's how big, our hearts were. We weren't looking for anybody to graduate.
Wow.
Wow.
Thing to do.
We got big because of that. Because we show, look, we'll do more than what it takes, This was this gentleman's dream, to just do an investigation for one night with a paranormal team and go to a haunted location, which I set up and made it happen in a day. Normally, to set something up like this takes 2 to 3 weeks, but I worked for 24 hours to make this happen. And we got up the next day, we loaded the truck, went and got him, and we went to the site, and he was all excited and everything, and we got through the interview and all that stuff with him, and then he told us he had to sit down, he wasn't feeling good. So it was all about giving him his last, the last thing, something special for him. And we stopped what we were doing, because we actually had an investigation the night that we did this.
Yeah.
We canceled the investigation and moved it a week later, just so that we could do this for this gentleman.
Yeah.
And when people heard about this, it went bananas. Like, they stopped what they were doing to give this man his one last request.
And I'd do it all over again in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I'd do
really
it 100 times over.
That's a really nice story.
So let's talk about equipment. What do you like to use for the most validating evidence in the paranormal?
Well, I like to use my ears and my senses and a flashlight. I like to sit in the dark. I like to listen to the house. I want to see what the house is going to tell me. And then later on through the night, I will use, spirit boxes. Chuck likes to use all these neat gadgets like bears, anything that he can get his hands on that's electrical. He will hook it up.
But also, Eric got me into the old school, and I got to tell you, as much as I like the K2, the REM pod, the spirit box, the Mel meter, the cameras, I like doing it old school as well, because
that's when you get your true paranormal.
Yes. And I like what you said, Eric. You have to listen to the house.
Yeah.
That's true. It is true.
I feel the more electronics you have out, because you never know, some of these spirits probably died 100 years ago, 200 years ago. they're not knowing what they're looking for or what they're seeing there. That could probably be like, I'm not going near that. Like some of these ghosts could be intelligent. It sounds stupid what I'm talking about right now, but the more equipment you have out, the more of a less of a chance that maybe you will even converse with a spirit or any type of entity to begin with. I feel you go into the house, you go in with nothing but a flashlight. Go in there, see what you're walking into. Don't jump for the first bangs or the first creaks or the first dings or dangs. Really, see, I'm that guy that's going to go into a haunted location and I'm going to tear it apart. I'm going to debunk it. I'm going to go there to tell you your house is not haunted. Chuck is the other guy. Chuck is the one that's going to go in there and look for the ghost. Me, I'm more the laid back one that's going there to prove your house ain't haunted. But if it can prove to me it is, and change my mind, now we got something going on.
And that's why it works so good between the two of you, because you bring a little bit something different to the table of both of you together. So I have a question. You've guys been to a lot of locations. What was probably like one of the, maybe like, like the hardest location that you had to investigate, whether it's residential or just, haunted location?
Cabin 360.
Cabin 360.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Okay, so I want to say either October or November 2019. We wanted something different. I told Eric that October. I told Eric that I had found something, brick house, farm rancher, Civil War battlefield, like claims were, and I told Eric, I said, what do you think? And he's like, yeah, well, you know what, let's do it. So I reached out to the caretaker and I said, I'd like to see if we could go there for 2 nights. He said, sure. I paid the deposit. We packed up our stuff, went 9 hours. We were supposed to be there 2 days. Yeah, that didn't happen. We've never left the site. Never. We've never packed our stuff, and we've never left, no matter how bad it's ever been.
Well, we heard it's pretty intense there.
What I experienced there that night
was mind-blowing.
Wow.
Just talking about it now gives me chills.
I mean, we're a team that when we're out there, we all work together. There's no arguing. There's no fighting. We get in there. We unload our equipment. We set everything up as quick and as nice and good as possible. We were all at each other's throats. We were fighting. We were arguing about what was going to go. It just seems like the whole time we were trying to do something, we'd get one thing set up, it would stop working, or it would break, or it wouldn't turn on, or nothing would go as planned. It just seems like the more we progressed through the night at this place, the worse things got. To the point where I threatened to smack him and punch him out, to the point where I disappeared for 15 minutes. No one knew where I was. So, and it still carried on. Normally, I'm the driver. Normally, I'll get in that truck and I will drive us to that location. If it's 10 hours, I'll drive the whole 10 hours. I had to be sat in the passenger seat because I was to the point where anyone that walked by me, I wanted to hit them. My mind was so filled with anger. I've never felt like that before. And then when we left the property, we're a mile down the road, I still was angry. But the further we got away from the house, the less angry I got.
How further away from the location did you have to go to feel better?
I was about maybe 10 miles away until he turned around and told me, "Do you know what you said to me?" I said, "I haven't a clue what I." He's like, "Dude, if you get out of that truck, You looked right at me and told me if I opened my mouth one more time, you were going to punch me out. And I've never yelled at this man in the 30 years I've known him. I've never yelled at him or threatened to hit him in any shape or form. We've had those days where we disagreed on things. We both went our own way. We were talking the next day. That's what friends do. Friends, have disagreements.
Of course.
If you're bound to. But we've never fought or yelled or threatened each other. And he was stunned because I was doing it to everybody.
Yeah.
When I called the caretaker and told him what I saw, he's like, "Do you want to stay?" And I'm thinking, oh, heck no.
Mm-hmm.
I know with my own two eyes that I was not welcomed. I'm going to say this. It's probably the closest I think I want to be to hell as I ever want to be.
Wow.
What stood in front of me on that second floor, now I'm a big guy. You guys have met me in person. I'm not small. I don't think I touched the flight of stairs leaving that house. And I'm stuttering, and Eric's like, "What are you doing, bro?" And I said, "Dude, I'm not even going in there. I'm done. I can't, you don't even understand what I saw, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like mumbling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm out of that house fast.
Yeah. 20 minutes later, everything just went upside down. Everybody fighting.
I can't explain what I saw. I seriously thought the owner was going to think I was a nut job.
No.
My story has not changed. I stay to my story. And I know, ultimately I want to go back. As crazy as that sounds, I want round two.
We want round two this time.
That's usually the way it works. It's so crazy what these locations can actually physically do to us and change our personalities. And we've seen it. We've dealt with it. As you know.
What do you think? What do you think it is in that house?
When I went upstairs, it was playing like a hide and seek game to me to start. I'd see a shadow. And I got mad and I said, "Where are you? Show yourself." Big mistake.
Yeah.
Here it is, 7.5, maybe 8 feet tall, reddest eyes, looked like half creature, half man. I can't explain it. I don't even want to try to wrap my head around it. I knew right then and there, I could not believe what I was seeing. I wanted out of that house. And our stay was our welcome stay was over.
Yeah, we packed up.
And that's not us.
We've been to many locations. We've been to some real haunted places.
No.
And and there were nights where it was like, dude, this is ridiculous. And we've gone to other places that hold their claims of most haunted places in the world. And we didn't catch nothing, and I wasn't intimidated that it was a haunted location. We didn't catch, and we went there 2-3 times just to make sure. And to this day, some of the places we went to, they're supposedly the most haunted locations in the world. And I wasn't scared. I didn't catch nothing. I caught nothing on digital voice recorders. The house seemed quiet. It just, for 3 times going back at different times, it's periods of 6 months at a time.
Now, keep in mind, I asked the owner of the 360, "Ryan, do you believe me?"
He's a really nice guy.
And he said, "I do believe you. Your story hasn't changed."
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And again, I stand by it. I know what I saw.
Were you able to capture any pictures or EVPs?
Here's the thing. We did have pictures.
They weren't on our phones.
But they were not on our phones.
Oh.
We got pictures of me and Chuck. We took a selfie of me and him standing in front of the cabin, literally. Yeah. We had the girls take it for us, a selfie.
Yep.
And when we went back to look at it, it was not, the girls took it. They took like 3 or 4 different shots because we did a funny one, a real one, and then a nice one.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And all 3 of them weren't there. And then over the night, I was taking pictures with my camera. It's a huge, I mean, it is a huge camera. I have all these things that extend to it and everything. And I must have took over 100 pictures. When I came home to load them on my computer, it said I had 153 pictures. But when I put the card in my computer and looked, all the 153 pictures were all black.
Wow.
You couldn't
That
see.
happened to Phil in front of the Amityville house years back. He said back in the 80s, where didn't you take
Yeah,
pictures?
we went down to the Amityville house when it was vacant at one point in the 80s. It was like 10 of us. We were joking around, taking pictures in front of the house and being all hot shots and all that. And I remember a week or 2 later after that film was developed, one of the friends come over and go, the house is in the pictures, but you guys aren't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
And
I mean-
you can't rule that stuff out. And so here's the takeaway of that, okay? The takeaway is that these things are so intelligent that somehow they can manipulate electronics, cameras, photography, whatever they want. And they could do parlor tricks, making things disappear, reappear somewhere else. And you have to think now, if they're that intelligent, then they already know when you're coming and what your intention is.
Well, funny you said that, because the one thing I stress is when you go into somebody's house, you have to go in with the utmost respect. You can't provoke, because let's be honest, you don't know what you're walking into, and you don't know what's in the house. If you go in there all gun ho, that, you know what I mean?
You're asking for trouble.
You're asking for problems.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to go in with the utmost respect, and you have to tread lightly, because you really don't know what you're dealing with.
We've had clients call us saying, my house is demonic.
Yeah.
And we'll be like, okay, and we'll listen to them. And like, well, what would you like us to do? Well, can you come out and make it go away? I'm like, well, we could come out and take a look for you. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go away. I mean, and we go out there and we do an investigation, and all these things that they say that happens, it happens every night. We walk into these locations, and I'll look at Chuck, and I'm like, I don't find anything.
No.
I don't think anything here is vicious or malicious. I don't know what's going on. The only thing to do is to send somebody out here to either cleanse it for them, because we don't do that stuff. I don't mess with something I ain't gonna know about. Right. We have people who are into that type of stuff, demonologists and stuff like that. We can contact people to have that done for us. Me, I won't mess with that stuff.
No.
I read a lot about it. I know what it is. I know how to do it. But at the end of the day, if you're not a certified demonologist, you should not be going in there and rowing up something you have no idea it is there.
Yep.
So we go out, investigate. We try to tell them the story that they're telling us. And if we're pretty much even what they're telling us, then we got something. If we don't think anything is wrong with the place, we're going to do our best to tell it to our clients. Look, we didn't catch nothing. We didn't see anything going on here like you're saying it's going on. I'm not saying it's happening, but at the end of the day, you contacted us to come out to prove that this stuff is happening, and we have no evidence. We will continue to come out from time to time if you need us, and even then, coming out isn't normally going to fix the problem. It's just telling the story. Okay, something's here. Now, what do you want to do? Do you want to have a priest come out and bless your home? Do you want someone to come down here, like a medium or something, to come out and tell the story? Or, do a background check on the house. A lot of teams don't do that. They won't do a background check. They'll just come right out there and listen to the owner, and they'll go in there. Is there a demon in here? You come out and play with me. And that's stupid. You don't want to call something you don't know what it is. Go in there with the most intentions that you're going to find something and prove that it's a haunted location. If you got nothing, then you can't call it haunted.
I will say this. I will say this, the movie, it was The Conjuring, second Conjuring. It rang true on a lot of different levels because what you're saying, Eric, you went to locations and you haven't seen anything. And I remember that second movie, The Conjuring, when they left the house, they thought the young girl was breaking everything and whatnot. And then it wasn't up until they were on their way out of there that they realized they did the recording back and that they were being tricked. And I tell people that over and over again, deception is the devil's biggest game.
Yeah.
Okay, so a demon is not going to come out and throw things at you and go boo and none of that crap. Okay, deception. A demon is not going to show you anything because it doesn't care to. It cares to destroy the family. So again, these hide and seek measures do take place, and it's up to the investigator to go to these locations to figure out, hey, if this, the first thing is, like, I remember people coming here and saying they bring like 20 different forms of psychology forms, medications and this and that, and they want to get down to the psychology of the people and the children before they get to the haunting to say, is there something going on at that location? And then sometimes it takes a lot of work, right? It's a lot of digging that you're being tricked. As an investigator, you're being fooled that, hey, this thing is really here, but it's not going to show you because it doesn't care to show you. It's got nothing to prove to you. It never will.
It's going to be malicious. All it cares about is going in and pulling out your deepest, dark secrets of you. If you're a depressed person, it's going to promote that more for you. If you're an anxious person, it's going to do it. It's going to find any weak spot or weakness in you and make it so that you come alive. It's going to take everything that you enjoy and bring it down. It's going to take everything that you love and tear it apart. It's not just going to, if it sees you love your wife, it's going to go over there and tear your wife down. If you love your kids, it's going to make you and your kids tear each other apart. It's going to keep doing what it's got to do until you have no more to give.
That's true. That's true.
So, I don't mess with that stuff. I'll go in there. If I feel I'm not welcome, I pack up, I leave. I leave it for someone else to do because that doesn't make me chicken. I've seen what it can do.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't want to play that role in concerned person. I am all set with being that. But we do everything we can. We'll do our best. We're not professionals. You can't be a professional paranormal investigator. There's no such thing.
And there's no experts. And there absolutely is no experts.
And I'm sorry, but it just irks me when people say, "Oh, I'm an expert paranormal investigator." There's no expert. Nobody's an expert in any of this.
An investigator is an investigator. I don't consider Chuck better than me. Chuck don't consider me better than me. I've investigated with other teams. We've been on other different teams, and none of us treated anyone different from each other. If you're on TV, that's different.
And there are investigators that are more knowledgeable and have more experience. But to say an expert to me is just it just irks me.
Yeah.
Would you go to school for that? Because tell me where the school is, because I want to sign myself up. I want to go.
Paranormal school. Hey, I'm thinking about this Cabin 360, and another thing that rang true. When you said you were about 10 miles away is when you started to slowly feel better, right?
Yep.
So does that tell you that it's a scare off, like this thing claimed the land?
I don't know if it ever claimed the land. All I know is through the stories and the histories that we heard, a lot of bad things happened there. I guess it was also like a Revolutionary War or something went on there too. So there's a lot of things that played parts on this land and on this property. So knowing what went on for people dying or being slaughtered or whatever it was that went on in this place, whatever is there has got a hold on it. It affected me to where it made me really mad. It just took some anger that I'd never had before, and I took it out on people I cared and I loved for. So whatever it was trying to do to manipulate me, because I will take my shirt off my back for you. I will be there to help you. You know, if you guys were like 10 miles down the road and you called me and says, "Hey, Eric, I'm having a problem with something. Can you come over and help me with it?" I would stop what I do. I'd get in my vehicle and I would shoot over just to give you a hand to make sure that you're safe of what you're doing. It just kind of took that good sense of well-being that I had and turned me into this mechanical monster and started stampeding around the property like I was a lumberjack and I just wanted to take an axe to everybody. It just gave me that emotion that I got to kill or punch everybody out, you know?
Yeah.
It hypes me up like I drank like 1,500.
And we've seen that. So I've seen that in the Holden Mansion as well. So then it's able to manipulate the mind, and that's scary.
Yeah, that it is. It's something I don't want to ever experience again.
Yeah, no, I definitely would agree with that. So tell me one.
I'm brave enough to go back and face my demon.
Go back.
I'll do it, but I ain't sleeping there. I'll investigate. This nutball is going to stay there. And you know, you got to go in there and start saying 10 Hail Marys and 9 Our Fathers because
but at least if you did go back, you would know this time what you're walking into. So maybe you can handle it a little bit differently. But we're coming towards the end of the show, and we want to thank you guys for coming on, taking the time to come on Horsefly Chronicles Radio.
And what do you guys have going on? Like, tell us what you have coming up and all that good stuff.
Well, we're now part of a network called True Ghost Stories that we got signed in for season 3. Right now, they're airing season 1 and getting ready to air season 2. We're working on putting some stuff for them for season 3. If you go to Facet TV, you can find it on the website, facettv.com.
Yeah, it's FACET.TV.
So you can find all the episodes. What True Ghost Stories is something that's never been done before. It's 12 teams around the world, and all us 12 teams work together to put everything we do in the world onto this network. So the first episode will be a team, say, from the UK, and then the second one will be a team from here, from the United States. So you never know what episode you're going to see next. You're going to see a different variety of teams doing different things and working with different types of instruments and going to locations that have never been seen or put on TV before.
Yeah, and it's real raw and unscripted.
Yeah, nothing is staged, nothing is scripted. What you see is what you get. So if we get nothing, we still put it on TV because we're still trying to show the world that there's some type of science to the paranormal. And if you are intrigued with this stuff, then you can understand why all this stuff and everything that we do together to try to make this happen, all the producers, all the directors and everything, and myself, I work really, really hard to put all this together. And me and Chuck's team, when we get together, we work as a component and we do what we need to do. Everybody's assigned to a certain specific thing that needs to get done so that we can make this happen. But yeah, Facet TV. I mean, we even have a True Ghost Stories page. It's TGSTrueGhostStories.com. You can go on there and you can hit the portfolio button. You go down and you can see all the different teams around the world. It's very exciting. The people who put this together, I give them props. They're awesome. And they do a lot for what needs to be done to get this done. And I feel they don't get enough credit, and I'm giving them the credit. These guys who do this stuff,
well, thank you.
They're amazing.
We'll definitely share all of that out too. But thank you guys.
And where can people find like your personal Facebooks and all that stuff? Or you're working on the website?
You can go to Nightmare Productions. You can go to Paranormal Conspiracy. You can go to Paranormal Research and New Hampshire Paranormal Research, New Hampshire Paranormal Afterlife. We don't really give out our regular Facebook pages because we don't want it to get all disinvolved because we got a lot of people who like what we do. So you can check out those pages. and Paranormal Conspiracy, Nightmare Productions. Those are the main things that we normally do. We don't have a lot in there right now because we're focusing on true ghost stories. But when we're done filming for the season, we're going to start adding stuff that we've done with other locations because we can air that stuff as long as it ain't over 2 true ghost stories. We can't air any of the stuff we give them. That goes to the network, that stays here. But anything else that we do during the time that we're waiting for our stuff to come on, we promote and put on our page.
Okay.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for coming on Horsefly Chronicles Radio. You've been a great guest, very knowledgeable. This is a very, very interesting show. To the listener out there, please share it. And Julie, wrap it up.
Okay, guys. Well, special thank you to Carnation for fully sponsoring the show. We love them and thank them. Please join us next Monday night on United Public Radio Network on 105.3 FM from New Orleans. And stay tuned for the Angel Rock with the amazing Laura Lee.
All right, everyone, have a great night. Thank you.
Good night, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, my brother. I am actually going to go to work because I'm on a bonus. Yeah. All right, my brother. You have a great night.
You got your cake?
I do.
Oh, just like a race war.
Right? Have a good night. Okay.